Okay, what about indemnification? That one sounds like it belongs in a horror movie.
It can sound intimidating, but it's actually a very common clause in contracts. Think of it as a just-in-case agreement. Basically, one party agrees to cover certain losses or legal claims the other party might face because of the contract.
So, it's like insurance for the contract?
That's a great analogy. It's about risk allocation. An indemnification clause protects one party from having to pay for something that the other party caused or failed to prevent. For example, say a tech startup outsources its data storage to a third-party provider. If there's a data breach caused by the provider's negligence, the indemnification clause could require the provider, not the startup, to handle any claims or damages.
So if the startup was responsible for the breach, they'd be liable instead?
Exactly. The clause defines who shoulders the responsibility in different scenarios. There are actually several types of indemnification, most commonly, broad form, intermediate form, and limited form.
What's the difference between those?
Let's start with broad form indemnification. Here, one party agrees to cover all losses, even if the other party is partly responsible. For instance, if both the startup and the provider contributed to a data breach, the provider still covers everything. It offers the broadest protection but is rarely accepted without heavy negotiation.
So broad form covers everything, even shared fault?
Precisely. Then there's intermediate form, which is more balanced. In this case, the provider would cover losses unless the startup was solely responsible. It protects against joint mistakes, unless one party was entirely at fault.
That sounds more reasonable. What about limited form?
With limited form indemnification, the provider only covers losses directly caused by their own actions or negligence. If, for example, a phishing attack succeeded because the startup's employees clicked on malicious links, the provider wouldn't be responsible. It's the narrowest and most commonly used version, especially in tech and services contracts.
How should it typically appear in a contract?
A typical indemnification clause might look like this. The contractor shall indemnify, defend, and hold harmless the client from and against any and all claims, damages, losses, liabilities, costs, and expenses, including reasonable attorney's fees, arising out of or relating to any breach of this agreement, negligence, willful misconduct, or violation of applicable law by the contractor. This wording provides a comprehensive safety net by covering not just direct breaches of the contract, but also negligence and misconduct.
Are there any other catches or limitations?
Definitely. Indemnification clauses often require the protected party to notify the other party promptly if a claim arises. There may be limits on what types of damages are covered. For example, many clauses exclude indirect, incidental, or punitive damages. Some clauses also set financial caps, meaning there's a maximum amount the indemnifying party will pay. Think of it like a deductible or policy limit in an insurance contract.
So it's not just a scary word, it's a whole legal safety net with fine print?
Exactly. It's a powerful risk management tool, but the details matter. Many clauses also exclude coverage for gross negligence, which refers to a serious, reckless disregard for reasonable care, something much worse than ordinary negligence. That's why it's smart to have a lawyer review the indemnity language to ensure it matches the actual business risks you're taking.
This has been incredibly helpful, Joseph. I feel much less intimidated by indemnification now.
I'm glad to hear that, Linda. At its core, an indemnification clause defines who pays if something goes wrong, and a well-drafted one can save your business from major financial exposure. It's one of the most important clauses to read carefully, negotiate thoughtfully, and align with the realities of the deal.
With technology changing so fast, do indemnification clauses need to adapt too?
Absolutely. As new risks emerge, like cybersecurity breaches, AI-generated content disputes, and regulatory privacy violations, indemnification clauses are evolving too. Contracts increasingly include specific obligations around data protection, liability for AI outputs, and responsibility for compliance with privacy laws like GDPR and CCPA. Future-proofing your indemnification terms ensures you're protected not just against traditional risks, but also against the new liabilities businesses are facing today.